Open Government Partnership meet plans way forward. Research reveals Markham's power potential. And Wafi-Golpu landowners unite for transparency.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Wednesday's news. A special cabinet meeting held yesterday has declared a public health emergency on the outbreak of polio. Health Minister Sepuka Temo will use his powers to put a gazettal notice on the isolation of the 3 infected areas, Morobe, Madang and Eastern Highlands provinces. Cabinet also approved the funding of 7 million kina for the emergency response in these areas, in addition to the WHO funding of 1.6 million kina. This emergency response requires global support and relevant authorities, including immigration, to work with the Ministry for Health to ensure technical experts coming into the country to help will not have any problems. A response to the outbreak has already begun in the 3 provinces, with the vaccination of 845 children so far. The 2-day high-level Open Government Partnership Conference has seen over 100 participants working together to finalize PNG's Open Government Partnership National Action Plan. PNG has chosen 4 of 7 key cluster commitment points to focus on for its OGP National Action Plan. Yesterday, fiscal transparency and public participation were discussed. Freedom of information and extractive industry transparency were addressed this morning.
PNG's Open Government Partnership National Action Plan needs to be submitted in less than 2 months. Of the 7 key cluster commitments that PNG will build its plan on, 4 were chosen, which are public participation, freedom of information, fiscal transparency, and extractive industry transparency. Special guests from international member countries gave in-depth presentations of how OGP was used in their country as an encouragement and brainstorming help to the participants. Mongolia shared the reasons as to why their OGP was successful.
On time and completed on time and made some changes, transformative changes. They consider it as start commitments by OGP.
India's representative presented how India got its right to information law to be passed.
Don't have access to information, they will not be able to access their other fundamental rights, even the right to minimum wages. And therefore, in India, there was a very broad-based movement which actually demanded the right to information law. And what's unique about India is that it wasn't a movement led by journalists or lawyers or, something that the government just brought in. It actually involved common people from across the country because they realized how empowering it could be in terms of accessing their basic rights and entitlement.
Drawing from her presentation, PNG Media Council President Neville Choi gave his view on how freedom of information is undertaken within the country.
So the use of social media, the hunger for our people to have access to information. Now, out of all of this, out of the absence of not having a Freedom to Information Act or a law that guarantees our freedom of expression, our right to information, what we have now are a lot of very frustrated citizens, a lot of people down at the local level who can't understand why they're doing it so tough. Unfortunately, an offshoot of that is they're now targeting the media because we are the purveyors of information.
From the presentations and discussion panelists' observation, participants were able to ask questions in regards to how civil society can work with the government to co-create this national action plan. The dialogues exchanged were noted and taken into consideration to finalize the OGP National Action Plan before it is submitted and endorsed by the NEC. Lilian Soperakinea, National EMTV News.
Representatives of both the national and autonomous Bougainville governments are expected to arrive in Arawa tomorrow for the Joint Supervisory Body meeting. The JSB, scheduled for Friday, is expected to confirm, among other agendas, the questions to be put to the people of Bougainville in a referendum in 2019. In a statement, ABG President Chief John Mommis acknowledged that there was a lot to be done to ensure Bougainville is ready for this event. He has said that he is confident that this JSB will make real progress on the referendum questions to be asked, the legal framework of the Bougainville Referendum Commission, appointment of all members of the Commission, and funding for Commission activities. Prior to the JSB meeting, President Mommis and PNG Prime Minister Peter O'Neill are expected to meet at a leaders' retreat, which will be held tomorrow. Here with National MTV News, we continue with more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Dozens of local level government workers in Eastern Britain Province are expected to gather for a protest march in Kokopo on Friday. Those who will be taking part in the protest are ward members, ward recorders, village court magistrates, peace officers and election service providers. They will be petitioning the national government demanding a payment of outstanding allowances owed to them since the 2012 elections. Bitapaka LLG President and Deputy Governor for East New Britain, Cosmas Bauk, says the LLG workers will be giving the government 21 days to sort out their grievances. Mr. Bauk says failure to pay the dues will result in a boycotting of the LLG elections in East New Britain Province. The head of a nationally owned financial institution says sacrifice and commitment are the key to running a successful financial business. Managing Director of Norman Finance Limited, Gabriel Andandi, says he established the small money lending company to help fellow country citizens address emergency situations.
Speaking to MTV this afternoon, Mr. Andandi says business is a risk, but with extra commitment and sacrifice, Papua New Guineans will have the opportunity to achieve goals in any business. This small financial institution has provided assistance through loans to middle-class citizens in the country.
Our main function is to offer soft loans to clients, especially the public servants. We do give loans to the private sector companies, but that is on standing order from the bank. And that's a little bit risky, but we're taking the risk and following up with the payments and things like that. But our main function of the company is to give soft loans to our clients, especially the middle income earners.
This is where it all began, at a residence in Port Moresby's Rainbow Estate. In 2008, Mr. Andandi began lending money with a seed capital of about 3,000 kina.
And after all, people have got to take money home for the family, and they have to put food on the table and the school fees and other things like this. So we're trying to do justice to our clients, that we spread it in a longer period, so that the deductions will be minimum, and that suits our clients, so that they can take home money for the family and the other obligations they have.
Now Norman Finance has 26 branches throughout the country and covering the 4 regions. The firm recently opened a branch in Fiji. Unlike other businessmen and women, Mr. Andandi says he wants to see Papua New Guineans benefit and excel in their achievements.
It's better for people to invest in these finance companies, so that we have our own money circulating in the country, instead of some people just come in and then our people get loans and they take out with the money on their own. So that is why I thought that, let's start off with this one out there, and then I think I've made the right decision, and I'm reaping benefits out of it.
The financial institution has over 80 staff in the country and 3 in Fiji. As a former teacher, Mr. Andandi has created a scheme for assisting parents with children enrolled at tertiary institutions in the country.
I've seen that most of the students drop out of the system because of school fees. That's the main reason the retention rate is affecting the students now, or the education department, or the rest of Papua New Guinea. So I've taken an initiative to pay school fees, not only to my students from my province or from my electorate, but I paid school fees for CPICs and Tolais, and from Kerema or Daru or from Mendeng or from Popondeto or everywhere, which I've all documented, and it's with me now.
The company is now in its 10th year of operation. Jack Lepave Jr., National MTV News.
Umi in Morbe's Markham district has the potential to produce large amounts of solar and wind energy. This is according to research conducted by the University of Technology's Lands Department. The Deputy HOD of the Electrical Engineering Department, Gibson Kupale, said this could boost the amount of energy currently produced. The study is being done to promote the use of renewable energy to achieve sustainable development in rural areas.
The deputy head of the Electrical Engineering Department at Unitec, Gibson Kupale, said the research considers the development of producing wind and solar energy in the Markham Valley. In his presentation at the Sustainable Energy Conference this afternoon, he said the research is still in progress but is already showing results.
If you consider a place like Umi with very hot sunlight, very big sunlight and strong winds, we are looking at very big, good amount of power at that place. So
the research started in October 2016. Mr. Kupale says they were able to collect data that shows the amount of solar and wind energy that could be produced in the area.
After we have analyzed our own data from our small weather station there, we should be able to do a good write-up, propose a pre-feasibility write-up, and then look at some ways to attract investors and so on.
At the moment, there are a few constraints faced with conducting the research.
So, if we get Markham hybrid solar and wind up and running, it's a very good potential in terms of revenue as well as power, reliability, and meeting the demand as well. Yeah.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
International Finance Corporation and PNG Power Limited have begun discussions with business on expanding renewable energy sources in Papua New Guinea with a proposal for a pilot rooftop solar program in Port Moresby. The move follows a request by PNG Power for IFC to build on its successful off-grid solar program, Lighting PNG, to help the power company's business customers access a pilot program. The aim is to initially allow about 2% of peak demand for electricity in Port Moresby to be generated from rooftop solar. Under its national plan, Papua New Guinea plans to transition to 100% renewable energy by 2050. With less than 20% of Papua New Guineans currently having access to an electricity grid, this presents one of the most challenging and underserved energy markets in the world. IFC's Lighting PNG program has seen about 20% of the population gain access to basic lighting and mobile phone charging services for the first time. Here with National EMTV News, we take a look at more, including stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Welcome back to National EMTV News. The landowners of Wafi-Golpu in Morbe Province united and formed an association that connects the three clans of Babuaf, Hengenbu and Yanta. They formed the Wafi-Golpu Landowner Mine Association after working independently under their respective associations until March this year. The clans decided to work together because they claim that there are no proper records kept by the current executives on the money given to them by the mining company and the provincial government.
The former executives of Babuaf and Gambu and Yanta Association and the landowners of Wafi-Golpu told EMTV News in Leh that the three existing groups registered to the mine represents the minority groups. Wafi-Golpu is an advanced exploration project located in Morbe Province. It is owned by Morbe Mining Joint Venture.
The SML for the Wafi-Golpu mine development covers over 65 kilometers of pipeline, and it spans across a lot of other clans, families, and people's territory and lands.
The landowners today raised their concern on media that they have decided to work collectively under the Wafi-Golpu Landowner Mine Association.
They want a new association where it covers everybody, from the pit down to the wharf.
We see that this development coming up, it's big. It's a big, massive development. And we feel like for us landowners to successfully secure maximum benefits for us and all those that will be impacted by this development, we need to come up with one unified voice.
Yes.
one voice to represent our interests.
They claim that they have not cited official financial records kept by the current executives for the three associations.
Community staff law. Thinking of them, there's no government involvement. Government, they are playing some political game within the association. So people are looking at them. This association is a government company in a place. Because now yet, community law, Babu, for all this stuff, I think 3 group or 4 group now stuff. Association long CD taso. What kind of simani na go back? No group coordination of place.
The landowners of the three associations of Ngambu, Babuaf and Yanta are calling on the executives of the current associations to join them and help bring development.
Mila Kasim government must look at this association and must support him through funding. Now long all administration when something, me play like him long, so that me play move him affairs the people long, same long, ready me play long. When I can work, me play can come up in long, benefit him all resources.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
Turning overseas now, fresh anger has erupted in the United States after the nation's highest court upheld President Trump's travel ban on people from mainly Muslim countries. There have been coast-to-coast protests. In San Francisco, it was labeled racism, and on the steps of the Supreme Court in Washington, civil rights protesters vowed to continue their fight.
Of the ruling, President Trump was tweeting victory. Supreme Court upholds Trump travel ban. Wow! In the 5-4 ruling, the sharply divided justices reflecting the same passions this Trump policy ignited from the moment he announced it during the 2016 campaign.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
It was a shocking declaration. At the Democratic Convention, the Muslim father of a fallen American soldier brandished his Constitution.
In this document, look for the words liberty and equal protection of law.
Today, the Supreme Court ruled on actually the third version of the travel ban, 2 others blocked by lower courts, and this one very different in crucial ways. It was issued after a worldwide review of security procedures in different countries. It offers case-by-case waivers for some individuals, people with long business relationships or close American family members, for instance. And it barred some individuals from non-Muslim countries, North Korea and Venezuela. All that, Chief Justice Roberts wrote, shows that this ban is a lawful national security measure.
The Supreme Court ruling was a tremendous victory for our country.
The administration argued it was crystal clear the travel ban did not target Muslims.
Who are we talking about? Is this the Muslim ban?
We're talking about, no, it's not the Muslim ban, but it's countries that have tremendous terror.
But the liberals on the court called that a sham. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, her voice filled with fury in court today, declaring this new window dressing cannot conceal an unassailable fact. The words of the president and his advisors create the strong perception that the ban is contaminated by impermissible bias against Islam and its followers.
Prince William has become the first member of the royal family to visit Israel. Earlier, the Duke of Cambridge had been in Jordan and was shown around the Roman city of Jerash, where there was unexpected remainder of his wife.
In all the years since this state was founded, never has a member of the British royal family flown here and done this, stepped onto Israeli soil for an official visit. But that moment finally happened this afternoon. The Duke of Cambridge will spend equal time in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories. What he does on one side, he will do on the other. Until today, the advice to the royals had always been, don't go. Prince William's day, however, began in neighbouring Jordan at the impressive Roman ruins that are the ancient city of Gerasa. And with Prince William amongst the colonnades, it gave the tourists here even more to photograph. In fact, this site was also photographed by William's in-laws in 1986, when Kate Middleton, aged 4, in the pink here, came to this site with her sister and father. So someone decided to put the image on an easel, which easily made for the most bizarre moment of the trip so far.
Mike looking very smart in his flip-flops.
Mike looks very smart in his flip-flops, said William about his father-in-law's choice of footwear. But the visit to this site wasn't just about the in-laws and archaeology. Jordan might be a relatively stable country, but it borders places which are anything but. To the west, the Palestinian territories, to the north, Syria. And that is why nearly 1 in 10 of the population here is a refugee. Alima and her daughter Rita are 2 of the 1 million Syrians who have fled to Jordan. She told the prince that Rita has been a refugee since she was 2 months old. My neighbours and relatives had already been killed, said Alima. I was worried my children would also die.
Jordan has really come under a lot of strain. The schools often now are running in double shift, so they have 1 shift in the morning and 1 shift in the afternoon because the classrooms simply can't hold the number of children that need an education here.
Ancient history and recent history has shaped this region, but it's the delicate politics of the present which William will encounter in the next 3 days.
Prince William has been asked to deliver a message of peace to Palestinian leaders on his visit to Israel.
In the Hall of Remembrance at Yad Vashem, Prince William joined an act of commemoration at Israel's memorial to the 6 million Jewish people who were slaughtered by the Nazis in the Holocaust. William laid his wreath and stood for several moments in silence. The first official royal visit to Israel has been a long time in coming, but Jewish leaders say it is appreciated.
This is a historic day. The excitement is felt throughout Israel and Britain, around the Jewish world, and just to see Prince William here is something very, very special.
There was a courtesy call on Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and on the Israeli President Reuven Rivlin, who asked William to convey his hopes for peace to the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas when he meets him tomorrow. That aspiration for peace featured in a speech tonight at the British Embassy in Tel Aviv when William spoke of his hope that conflict might be ended.
Never has hope and reconciliation been more needed. I know I share a desire with all of you and with your neighbours for a just and lasting peace.
Tomorrow, William will visit the most important of those neighbours, the Palestinian territories. It'll be an opportunity for him to gauge what chance there is of those hopes for peace being realised.
New technology is being trialled in the South Island of New Zealand that could make hot chips healthier. The machine is being installed in a factory and claims to be able to reduce an amount of fat needed to make the fast food favourite.
A guilty pleasure, but now the humble French fry could be slightly less naughty, thanks to this new piece of technology in Timaru.
Well, what this machine does is it effectively puts a potato in a water bath and electrocutes the potato.
It's called pulsed electric field technology. The machine sends pulses of electricity through the starchy vegetable, modifying and disrupting the membranes of cells, resulting in a stronger, more robust chip, less oil absorption and less waste. This is the first time it'll be used at a commercial level in New Zealand, with Otago University helping conduct a 3-month trial into its benefits.
We're 90% more efficient on energy, use less water, so there's savings for the customer, the factories, and it's more environmentally friendly, which in this day and age is important for a lot of our customers.
This machine can electrocute around 1 tonne of potatoes every hour. A much smaller model has been used at the university for the past few years, with head professor Indra Oy a firm believer in its healthy ways.
I can feel less oil in my mouth and it is more light and also crunchier.
If the benefits stand true, we could soon see the technology used on other products, such as meat or fruit juices.
So it's a gentle process where you retain more of the fresh taste and the nutrients and vitamins.
But first, it's the French fry, something you could soon enjoy with a little less guilt.
The world's worst humanitarian catastrophe is happening in a place where Al-Qaeda and ISIS have roots. The most bitter and brutal war is being fought in Yemen in the Middle East at this point in time.
This is the race to the front of the least visible, yet most vital war in the world now. The fight for the port down the road here is part of what could be the deadliest chapter yet in the battle for Yemen. Powerful Gulf armies are trying to put the ousted Yemeni government back in power and defeat the rebel militia, the Houthis, backed by Iran. The airport down the road here, in the port city of Hodeidah, was the latest prize. And the Houthis were kicked out just hours earlier and face a huge blow if they lose Hodeidah altogether to this ragtag Gulf-backed army. The biggest losers, though, remain ordinary Yemenis. 20 million relying on aid shipments that come mostly through the Hodeidah port and that could be cut off as the fight intensifies. There were previous warnings, he says, to civilians, and the clashes are just on the outskirts of the city, so people can stay in their homes and remain safe. This war is part Yemeni chaos and part high-tech. The US military has helped its Gulf allies with fuel and intelligence for airstrikes, and top-end US-designed armoured vehicles are driven by Emirati troops here. But the Pentagon publicly backed out of the Hodeidah fight because so many civilians were at risk. Yet regardless, this is already the world's worst humanitarian crisis, killing a child under 5 needlessly every 10 minutes, says the UN. Amid the impish innocence is the fact food is a weapon of war, haunting every childhood. Majid fled Hodeidah with his family 2 days ago. I'm a fisherman, he says. We can't go and do our jobs. At any moment, a rocket or mortar could strike, and our homes are made of simple material. Our escape from Hodeidah should have taken 2 hours, but it took 2 days through the mountains and valleys, as the direct road was full of mines. Hala led her family to safety but homelessness 5 days ago. We spent 3 days, she says, without any sleep because of the constant sound of explosions over the house. When the fighting stops, we'll go back. But that isn't close, and even if Hodeidah is a closing chapter, it is one which the UN has warned could kill 250,000 people. Yet the numbers right here are smaller. One mother must prepare 1 meal in the dust, with 1 tomato and 9 mouths to feed. So the tomato serves as a sauce to make the old bread appetizing before milk is added. Every mouthful here is a struggle. One that is barely seen by the world, despite the huge powers and consequences involved. Every child on the line, as the war rumbles through their lives.
And the numbers given by aid agencies really beg a belief. If you've been watching since the break, that 10 minutes has elapsed, and in that period of time, a child under the age of 5 has likely died from preventable causes, say the United Nations. That's kind of startling, frankly, given the sheer amounts of cash involved in this war, the powers that are fighting over it, but it's because it's about the regional showdown between Saudi Arabia, frankly, and Iran.
You're with National EMTV News. We go for a break now. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. A representative of FIFA is in the country to meet with factions, Football Federation of PNG and the PNG Football Association to settle differences. President of Football Federation John Capinato told the media today that transparency should be given where it's due for the betterment of the code.
As arguments between FFPNG and PNG-FA continue to impede the performances of football in the country, FFPNG President John Capinato is calling for transparency when it comes to running football in the country. He told the media, despite numerous attempts for discussions between the two factions, a proper resolved outcome has never been achieved.
Why is 12 associations the majority over there, and why is 6 running football in this country? We need to come together. I sent word to Mr. Wesley, Gonzo. I said we need to meet. We need to sort out the football in a round table way, not sending letters and all these things, because You did something bad on the December 28, 2016 that hurt every president. So now we need to get together. That's why FIFA rep is right here now.
Kapinato, who strongly believes in football and bringing change for young footballers in the country through sports, says PNG-FA needs to come clear and work with FFPNG to the benefit of the code.
I think the whole organization of football need to change administratively. And I think it's FIFA's direction that football must go right down to the grassroots, to the rural areas. If we are not taking football right down to the rural areas, then we miserably fail FIFA's objective.
He says currently a representative from FIFA is in country and attending to the matter.
If FIFA says a normalization comes into this country, I want it that way. And let the presidents of this nation sit down in a biannual Congress and pick new officials with new visions that can take football in this country.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
The National Capital District Boxing Association is on a mission to revive boxing in the city after the resignation of its president in 2016. The association started with a sparring competition this week with some 50 fighters, both male and female, displaying their skills before selectors at the Lamana Hotel.
Sparring exhibition held this week saw fighters from 6 entity boxing clubs, 13 less than what it used to be before the resignation of Entity Boxing Association President Hong Kiap.
Yes, we just need support from our association because right now we don't have, we are struggling to organize competitions because we don't have referee and judges. That's one of our main downfalls is referee and judge. Because we don't have referee and judges, we're just organizing a competition sparring. But if we have referee and judge, then we'll have a competition.
Nonetheless, the competition saw 50 fighters displaying their skills for local selectors as part of the 2 weeks of preparation for the upcoming national championships.
From this event, the NCD club members and all that, they will select their best team, Team NCD. They're trying to pick 2 teams, both male and female, to take part in the coming national championship. And this is very important for them. They have got a lot of good boxers, both men and women, for this coming South Pacific Games. So they want to put as many so that they can be able to get into the team, national team.
For this competition sparring here, is we have mixture of cadets. Cadets is like 14, 15, 16 years old, and we have youths, and also we have elite boxers. Elite boxers are boxers that represented Team PNG in the Mini Pacific Games and also in the Commonwealth Games.
The whole aim of the sparring exhibition and other lined-up activities is to bring back the code of boxing in the city.
If you look at the national team, majority of the national team is made up of NCD Boxing Association. That's why we're trying to revive boxing again in NCD.
Stacey Yallo, National EMTV Sports.
The NCT Football Association today announced its youth championships to be held in Port Moresby next month. 40 teams of youngsters between the ages of 15 and 17 are expected to participate. President Voni Kapinato says the event is the first to be hosted under her association.
The tournament will see 40 teams compete, both under 15 and under 17 boys and girls. President Voni Kapinato says this is the first time the association will host an event like this in the region.
I really want to involve youths into our association, because the saddest part that I've seen in all members' associations, sadly to say the other function, there is no youth in their associations. And to host a tournament like this and involve our members, that shows us and everyone that our members have youths in their competition.
She says providing such platforms for developing young and talented players is the way forward.
Under FFPNG, we have good prize money, good trophies, golden boot, MVP, golden gloves. So all those initiatives that will encourage these young kids to know that they are not working in vain. There's something for them. We will reward those people that kids playing very well. We will award MVPs that very outstanding throughout the tournament. So we have good prizes for the young kids.
Event coordinator Jonathan Tuka says the tournament will provide an opportunity for young players to play and showcase their skills of football.
It's very interesting that we've already built in a lot of activities that are on our calendar that we are already incorporating, and it is going with huge attraction out throughout the whole area of Southern Conference.
Hekari's team captain David Muta says the program will really boost the interest and performances of young footballers aspiring to one day represent PNG.
These kids, we involve them in playing, and I'm not just all of play, but I think good blood lo sabe lo soccer, lo basics lo soccer, and this land when they grow up, and then they will become a better player.
Meanwhile, Hekari players will be assisting at the event as part of motivation for young football players. The event will be played in 2 pools and similar games to be carried out in other regions. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
The National Sports Institute came alive last weekend as over 700 athletes from all around the Highlands region, as well as from Lae, Bulolo and Port Moresby, participated in the PNG Air Highlands Momase Regional Athletics Championships. The highlight was strong competition in both the open and under-18 men's 100 and 200 meters.
PNG Games 200-meter winner Linus Kuravi won both the open men's 100 and 200 meters in times of 11.15 seconds and 23.06 respectively, with 18-year-old Manoka John making a time of 11.22 and giving him a strong challenge in the 100 meters. Toya Whistle's younger brother Pius showed the benefit of consistent training in Goroka by winning both the 100 and 200 meters in the under-18 men's division. Making times of 11.34 and 23.10, he was challenged by Lae's Ezekiel Nawas and Goroka-based junior John Ho. National rep Simbai Kaspar, as expected, dominated the men's distance events. Para-athletes also impressed at the weekend, in particular James Kaudua in the men's 5,000 meters, who continued the good form he showed at the PNG Games in Kimbe. A quality race in the open 800 meters was the highlight of the women's track competition, with Tunatine winning from Jenny Albert and Mary Tenge. Lae's Roka Manua produced arguably the best field event performance of the weekend with a 6.71 meters long jump. National Athletics Championships will take place in August in Port Moresby, and the event will be used to identify and select a squad for next year's Pacific Games. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
And don't go anywhere, we'll have more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Argentina have survived scraping through to the final of the World Cup with a nail-biting 2-1 victory over Nigeria. But perhaps even more entertaining than the football was the biggest supporter, Diego Maradona's reaction to all the ups and downs.
His hands were holy.
Diego Maradona fails. We've just seen that special moment.
But legendary striker Diego Maradona has now shown the fingers of God. His emotional display as erratic as Argentina's attempts to keep their World Cup campaign alive.
They at least have one cheerleader here.
The South Americans on the verge of an embarrassing exit. Sitting at the bottom of their group, they needed a victory. And what better way to start?
Is this the opener? Yes, it is!
Lionel Messi's magic sparking his first goal this tournament, even getting praise from one of football's gods himself.
He's saying his prayers. Argentina's prayers have just been answered.
Messi just millimetres away from making it 2-0. The momentum slowed down, and so did Maradona.
Well, I'm sure he's not sleeping.
If he had been nodding off, though, this was about to be the nightmare moment. Nigeria taking its opportunity to stay in the fight.
The Africans hit back and the whole of Argentina is stunned here.
Just like his side's campaign, all hope seemed lost. But this tournament's never been far from the next great late escape.
They've got their goal! Argentina lives on!
The occasion all too much for Maradona, rushed to hospital after collapsing during the post-match celebrations. He's since been released, ready to roll again with every twist and turn of Argentina's unpredictable World Cup run.
To international boxing now. Joseph Parker's management team are prepared to walk away from the upcoming heavyweight bout with Dillian Whyte unless they are satisfied the referee is up to scratch. The warning comes just months before Parker's comeback, with the confirmation of the officials due in the coming weeks.
When the action was getting hot, real shame.
Joseph Parker's promoters are still seething at the performance of the referee in his last bout.
If they appointed that Italian again, we'd tear up the contract.
That's a jab at the British Boxing Board of Control, just a month out from Parker's scheduled return to the ring against Dillian Whyte.
We're looking for competent, unbiased performance by the judges and the referee for the first time we've been to England.
Higgins has labelled the performances of officials in both fights against Hughie Fury and Anthony Joshua as appalling. And he says top English promoter Eddie Hearn agrees.
I think he genuinely wants a level playing field, as we do. So the onus is on the British Boxing Board of Control.
Despite his loss to Joshua in April, Higgins believes Parker's boxing stocks are still high.
And so this is like a people's eliminator, and I think the winner of this fight will be in pole position for a rematch with Anthony Joshua.
And they promise to put up more of a fight in future.
We could make more of a scene at the time, and to make a scene in the ring, say to the referee what's going on.
If it all goes ahead, the heavyweight clash will take place on July 29th.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. We go for another break. When we come back, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. A few showers expected in Popondetta, cloudy and windy for Alata, mostly fine in Port Moresby, Daru and Kerama.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And before we go, a recap of our top stories again. Open government concept movers plan way forward, Markham power potential realized, and Wafi-Golpu landowners unite for transparency. And that has been the news, sport and weather for today, Wednesday, the 27th of June, 2018. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.